before we wrap up things this week here for the special episode 100 in the news, we have a special feature that you're going to be reading. It is an article by you entitled, "The Road Warriors Are Finished."
The Road Warriors Are Finished by Jim Cornette. Photos by Paul Heyman. Editor's note, the views expressed in this article are those of famous wrestling manager Jim Cornette and do not necessarily reflect the views of this publication nor its editorial staff. It does, however, reflect the views of Paul Heyman, who wrote this entire article.
By the way, the editorial staff, Paul Heyman was, I believe, the editorial staff of this
Yes.
Wrestling Power issue from 1987.
Yes. When the editors of this magazine approached me about doing a special feature for this issue, they thought they'd have to pay me a small fortune. After all, the viewpoints of wrestling's #1 manager can't come cheap. But just to show my appreciation for their good taste as to who they asked to do columns, they didn't ask Baby Doll or Paul Ellering now, did they? I decided to give them a break. So here I am, Jim Cornette, manager of the NWA World's Tag Team Champions, the Midnight Express. Jim Cornette, one of the finest physical specimens in the sports world today. Jim Cornette, the man with wrestling's indestructible bodyguard, Big Bubba Rogers. It's come to my attention that Paul Ellering's muscle-bound freaks, the Road Warriors, are coming after my tag team champions, Beautiful Bobby and Loverboy Dennis. The Road Warriors, who with their manager, Paul Ellering, think they're so indestructible, so untouchable, so invulnerable, the very same warriors who were left on their backs by the Four Horsemen. The very same Road Warriors who were beaten to a bloody Paul Bavin and Nikita Koloff and Crusher Khrushchev. So let's throw out the theory that the Warriors are unbeatable, unstoppable, or invulnerable. He likes those words, don't he?
It does read like a Paul Heyman promo, I gotta say.
The Four Horsemen don't buy that, and they've got proof. And the Russians don't buy it, and they've got proof too. The Road Warriors have been so impressive on television, beating up guys like Randy Mulkey, haven't they? Well, I'd like to see them dominate a match against the Midnight Express. I can tell you now, ladies and gentlemen, they won't. And you know why? Because while the Warriors are indeed strong, they are not agile. Loverboy Dennis and Beautiful Bobby are strong wrestlers, maybe not exactly as strong as the Warriors, but they are agile. While the Warriors cannot work effectively within the rules, both Dennis and Bobby are fine scientific wrestlers who can also brawl with anyone, even the Warriors. The Warriors do possess good teamwork, I gotta give them that. But the Midnight Express has been around just as long as the Road Warriors, and we are the ones with the tag team belts, aren't we? The Warriors have only proven themselves in the old Georgia area and the AWA, and now they've come to the NWA. The Midnight Express has dominated such areas as Mid-South, parentheses, UWF, and World Class, and has humiliated such names as the Fantastics, the Rock and Roll Express, the PYTs, how do they... and not to mention Sunshine's entire army in Texas. And while we're on the subject of Sunshine, God damn, this is brutal. Don't you think one of the greatest moments in professional wrestling history was when I taught that Baby Doll a lesson? Huh? I mean, first of all, I don't even think Baby Doll's a woman. Maybe, just maybe, she's taking a few of those helpers that those Russian women take for the Olympics. Maybe, just maybe, her voice has been getting a little deeper. Baby Doll, I know, and the rest of the world knows that slowly but surely you're becoming a man. Did I mention I didn't write this? But let's not waste my valuable time talking about Baby Doll. Oh, good Lord. Or her out-of-shape master, Dusty Rhodes. Let's talk about a man who Dusty Rhodes used a lethal weapon against. Yes, let's talk about a man who took Dusty Rhodes' best shot and remained standing. I'm telling you, of course, about Big Bubba Rogers, my bodyguard. You know, when Mama sent Bubba down to watch my back for me, I had no idea just how unbelievable this man truly was. But then I saw Dusty Rhodes hit Bubba with a chair. ... A chair! And Bubba just stand there. And believe me when I tell you, should it be stood there?
It shouldn't be Bubba just stand there. I don't know why.
And believe me when I tell you, I had to almost beg Bubba to get out of the ring, even when Dusty and Magnum TA were swinging those big shovels. Bubba Rogers is not a man, he's a monster. After all, it only took one punch from Bubba to knock Baby Doll's pride and joy, the Warlord, out cold. And as for the Warlord, why has he chosen Baby Doll as his manager? What are her managerial capabilities? Can she negotiate a contract for the man? I doubt it. Can she personally supervise his training? I doubt it. What, therefore, can she do for him? Let me clarify this. Now, in order to figure this one out, maybe we should take a look at Baby Doll's background. She first appeared in Texas as Gino Hernandez's bodyguard. That's a joke to start with. Then this loyal bodyguard, the loyal and trustworthy employee of Gino Hernandez, ups and leaves him for his former tag team partner, Tully Blanchard, who is wrestling here in the NWA. Then she tries to start trouble between Tully and J.J. Dillon, a fine wrestling manager and business advisor, and she hooks up the dirtiest wrestler in the history of this great sport. And she hooks up the dirtiest wrestler in the history of this great sport, Dusty Rhodes. Wonder what she hooked him up with. Now, certainly wouldn't call Baby Doll a very stable person, would you? Of course not. And here's this warlord trying to make a career out of professional wrestling, and he turns to this unstable woman for guidance. One of the first things you learn to do as a manager is provide something stable for your wrestlers. There's certainly some shit from the stable here. What's Baby Doll providing for Warlord? Maybe she cleans his pots and pans. Maybe she waxes the kitchen floor when he's done tracking up the house with his muddy biker boots. I don't know, and quite frankly, I don't want to know. As far as I'm concerned, Baby Doll is just another woman who's trying to make a name for herself in a man's world, and she's going to learn the hard way what it's like to fail. Warlord is also going to learn a lesson. He's going to learn that it takes not only raw talent and ability, but good, steady guidance to further a career in this great sport. And as for the Road Warriors, the Midnight Express still holds the World's Tag Team Championship, and when Loverboy Dennis and Beautiful Bobby get finished with the Road Warriors, I'm going to send their makeup kit home to Mama to mount in my trophy display. After all, it's probably the greatest honor the Road Warriors will ever receive.
All right, Jim, this article from Wrestling Power 1987. Obviously, Paul Heyman knows a lot about the different things you did in your career, but how do you rank this Jim Cornette fan fiction written by Paul Heyman?
That read like a goddamn witness statement to a fucking patrolman late at night somewhere. And another thing she did. What the fuck? I'm glad he's polished up his literary capabilities since then.
If you think about it, it is very ECW. You know, I'm feuding with Baby Doll. Baby Doll's like me. Oh, she's a man. You know, like all of a sudden there's that big turn there at the end.
Well, I just want everybody to know that I didn't say any of that stuff, so I cannot be held accountable for being transphobic or ogre-phobic or whatever the fuck it is.
That's right. Well, as we wrap up this episode of In the News, Jim, any closing words from you, the anchor of the In the News desk?
I'd just like to say that the next time you hear In the News, I will be on assignment. So